Welcome to the Lawrence Dufresne podcast. I am Lawrence Dufresne, and if you haven't already, please like and subscribe so you can be notified of future content. Today, we'll be talking about goal setting, and if you haven't watched the last video about mindset, please go back and watch it because that sets the platform for everything that we'll be talking about today. All right? So, when it comes to goal setting, there are many different frameworks and models and this, that, and the third. My job today on this video is to make goal setting simple. Just want to make it in plain language so that everybody can apply it immediately. So whenever we're talking about goal setting, the first question you want to ask yourself is why? Why that specific goal? That is going to be your anchor for the times where you get discouraged, for the times where you're just not going to feel like doing it. And I'm going to be honest with you, we all go through that. There is not one person, successful or not, who doesn't wake up in the morning at some point and say, you know what, I don't feel like doing it. Not today, it's not going to happen. And the only way that you're going to override that emotion is if you remember your why. So why that goal, specifically that goal, whatever it is. Now, if you don't have a goal, right, let's say you don't know what you want, then let's back up a little bit and start there. What is it that you want? Be as specific as you can be. The exact thing or status or relationship, whatever it is, what is it that you want? The more detail, the better. This is not the time to cut corners. I'm not asking you to write a dissertation, but I am asking you to be intentional, okay? You need to know exactly what it is that you want. So let's say, I don't know, let's say you say, I want a house. I live in an apartment and I want to buy a house. Beautiful. It's not enough. What type of house? How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? What's the square footage? What neighborhood? Right? How much is it going to cost you? All of these things. I want you to be as specific as possible about the house itself, using that as a metaphor for whatever the goal is. So like when people say, I want to be, an entrepreneur, I hear it all the time. Okay, great. What are you going to what does that mean? That no one can help you just be an entrepreneur. Let's pick an industry, you know what I mean? And let's be specific about that industry. Like, what are you going to be doing as a business owner / entrepreneur? Or I want to be an investor. Beautiful. What do you want to invest in? Anything that's profitable. Okay. What does that mean? Let's get specific, And it does take some intention. It takes some time. It causes you to think about it. Because I want to tell you this. If you have a goal that's based off of purely emotions, it's not a goal. All right, I want to be successful. That's not a goal. Like, what does that mean? What does success look like? And so at some point, you have to clarify, be as specific as you can about what you want. Then once you get there, you answer the question, why? I want a 7-bedroom, 6-bathroom house, 3,500 square feet, in a location that's warm, in a good school district for my young kids, and I don't want to spend more than $500,000. Why? Because I want my family to be comfortable, and I want to have enough space to entertain guests. I want people to be able to come over my house and feel like they're right at home without everybody being on top of each other. Okay, cool. Now, the why that I just gave, and that was all a freestyle. I didn't plan that, right? That's just an example, right? Here's the thing about your why. If your why is not strong enough, it's not going to sustain you during those dark moments. And so I don't want you to be lazy about the why. In other words, the why has to matter to you. It doesn't have to matter to anybody else, but it has to matter to you. Okay, it has to be something that you resonate with. It has to be something that you actually feel in your body, something that truly, truly matters. So it's like somebody will say, I want to lose weight because I want to look good. I want to lose 50 pounds so that when I go on vacation, I look good in my bathing suit. And that's cool. That why, though, might be really, really important to them. If they plan on taking pictures or whatever the reason is, that why might be important to them. Cool. But it doesn't hit as strong as I need to lose 50 pounds because I'm type 2 diabetic. And if I keep going at this rate, I'm gonna die, right? That hits a little heavier, and it might be more of a reason to be consistent and committed to whatever the goal is, right? So your why has to matter, and your goal needs to be as specific as possible. We don't want general goals. We don't want it to be something vague. And the beauty about this is that you can always clarify your goal. Whatever your goal was, as you get more information, as you get more language, you can clarify it. You can make it more and more and more specific. So if I use the house analogy, I didn't see the house yet. But then I might go house shopping or whatever. I might start browsing through some houses and I find the exact house that I want. I want this house. Now, if I want that house, there's a time frame. But I might have an idea of the exact house that I want. I have a floor model, and now I can look for houses that are around that type of image because I found the house, right? So you want to get as specific as possible. Your why has to be specific. Your goal has to be specific. Your why has to be powerful. It has to be something that actually matters to you. And how do you know it matters to you? It's something that you feel in your body every time you speak about it. When it's mentioned, someone else can mention it and you feel your body responding. That means it's important to you, right? So once you have your goal, right? This is the goal that I want, whatever it is. And this is why I want it. The next thing that you want to do is you want to write it down. And I literally mean write. I'm not saying put it in your notepad. I'm saying put pen to pad, paper to pad, and I want you to write it down. Now, I'm thinking Grow Rich, I think he says to write it down about 7 times. Now, you can take that advice. I think that's great advice. But I'm telling you to just write it down in general. Get into the habit of putting it on paper. There's a lot of metaphysical things. There's the body-mind connection. There's so much science connected to that. If that's something that you're interested in me breaking down, please put it in the comment section so that we can go further into that. But you want to write it down. And after you write it down, the next step is to read it out loud. Don't just read it, but read it out loud. Now, this is the thing. There's 2 ways to go about this next point. You could either write it down every day, which I recommend. Personally, I would say get a journal or a planner or something, and the first thing that you write down is your goal. Then you're going to say it out loud every day. The beauty of this is that, number one, it'll be committed to memory. I don't want you going back to what you wrote the last time and then try to mimic it. I want you to use your mind. Remember, because it's your goal. And it's important to you. See, if it's not important to you, then you're just wasting time or you're doing things by form. And if nothing is important to you, I would suggest talking to a mental health professional. Like myself, I do life coaching. We can book a session. We can try to help you find something that actually matters, right? But you can also talk to other therapists and counselors. But you should have something that matters to you, right? And so I want you to write it down every day, say it out loud every day, and then you can begin. I don't know if you plan your day before, or if you go get breakfast, or you go to the gym, whatever, but make that be your first priority. And if you are a spiritual person, make that a part of your prayer life, if that's something that you're into. It doesn't have to be against your prayer. You're writing down your goal, then you go and pray about it. I think that's a great way of saying it out loud and talking to whatever higher power that you serve, right? But you want to write it down every day. Now, for those of you, you may not be there yet, even though it might be redundant. That might be too intimidating. I got you. I got your back. Write it down one time and put it somewhere where you can see it and you can read it every single day. That is the second best option. Of course, writing it down every day, the mind-body connection, like I said before, will be activated, but we all are in different steps of commitment and dedication. So put it somewhere where you can read it every day. It might be your screensaver. You wrote it down, but now you're typing on your phone and now you're making it, your lock screen. So when you check your phone to see what time it is, there is your goal. And right there, read it out loud. When you read it out loud, this is now the key. When you read it out loud, you want to read it with the emotion as if you're getting it today. Right? Think about when you was a little child, and you might still be a teenager or a child if you're watching this, but think about when you was a little child and you knew that you were going to go on a field trip, right? We all loved field trips because it got us a chance to get out of school. And as the days are leading up to it, you're thinking about it. But on the day of the field trip, There's like an energy. You wake up early, or even like Christmas morning, let's say, right? You're a child and it's Christmas morning and you're seeing all the gifts on the floor. And yeah, you know Christmas is coming and you're excited, but there's a different energy on Christmas Day. That's like, oh, today is the day that I get to unwrap my gift. Today is the day that I get to go on this field trip. So when you're reading your goals, you need to read it with the emotional content, the emotional currency, as if it is going to happen today. The excitement, the joy. It won't be artificial if you truly are excited about that goal. Like if I'm excited about losing 100 pounds, if that's my goal to lose 100 pounds, and notice, me personally, this is my video, so I'm just going to tell you my thoughts. I don't like putting time frames on goals. I don't recommend that. There are a lot of, gurus and coaches and specialists that believe in putting time frames on goals. I don't subscribe to that. I'm going to tell you why. I learned that the time frame tends to be the main source of discouragement. So when you say, I'm going to lose 50 pounds in a month, well, anybody, who knows the fitness industry might say that that's impossible, but some people say, well, it is possible, if you fast a certain way or et cetera, et cetera. But then when you're halfway through the month and you only lost 3 pounds, you're going to abandon the whole thing. You're like, it's not working. And the thing is, it wasn't that your goal was impossible. It was that you put a time frame that didn't match either the knowledge behind what it takes for that thing to manifest, or it didn't match the effort that you was willing to put in to manifest that goal. There's some things you can get quickly, but the effort that it takes is such a large sacrifice that it may not even be worth it. And then there's some things you put a time frame on it, like I want to be a millionaire by next week. And the likelihood of that happening is just improbable. And then what happens is everybody says there's no point in setting goals because it doesn't really work. Setting goals work, but you have to have some level of rationale that doesn't limit your imagination, right? Consider that it might take 5 years, 10 years. Who cares? If your why is that important, then you will stick to that goal no matter how long it takes. So you want to write your goal down without the consideration of time, because time is a non-factor. Every day is a blessing for you to move even closer to manifesting that goal. So just assume that time is a non-factor. Write your goal down. Then when you say it out loud, say it with the emotional currency that you're going to get it today. Let me go back a little bit too. When I talk about a goal being specific and I talk about details, I also want to make sure that your goal is something that is not so abstract that it's easy for you to say you hit your goal. For example, I want to lose weight, right? That's such an abstract goal where if you lose a pound, a half a pound, you technically hit your goal. But you probably want to look a certain way, right? So you want to make sure that you have that it's measurable. I guess that's the way of saying it, that your goal is measurable, where if anybody else were to read your goal and then look at your life, they can determine whether or not you succeeded in hitting that goal or not. It needs to be that type of objectivity in your goal. And let me also say this. I don't want you to set a goal that you think is safe. And I'm going to tell you why. There's only a handful of us. There's a small minority of us that already have the belief in ourselves or in our God or in whatever that we can accomplish anything. Like I'm one of those people, like if I say I'm going to do something, call me crazy. I don't know what it is. I just believe I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do all that I got to do to get it done. And you know what's crazy about that? Everything I've ever said I'm going to do, I did. So there's no reason for me to not believe that all the other things I say I'm going to do is not going to happen. Because I've been killing goals over and over again. But everybody isn't in that version of their chapter yet. They're not there yet. They're not in that part of their story. Some of you are still battling just the belief that it can be done. And so you are tempted to set a goal that's low, an easy goal. We're going to deal with how to handle that later when we talk about planning in another video. But I want you to aim high. So let's say your goal is to make $100,000 in a year. I want you to change that goal to making $1 million in a year, 10x it. That's what I want you to do. Because here's the thing. First off, You probably don't believe you can make $1 million because you set your goal for 100,000. My question is why? Why not you? Right? But let's say you fail at making $1 million, but you're successful at making $300,000. You still did better than your initial goal. So it's a win-win. See, when you're setting a goal, you really don't know how much work is going to take for that goal to manifest. And so if you 10x your goal, you have a better chance of hitting the goal that actually matters. So in your heart, you might want $100,000. But on your paper, you're going to write $1 million. And you're going to say it every day. My goal is to make $1 million in a year. That's your goal every day. You're saying that every day. And then what happens is the more you repeat it, the more you start to believe it, the more you are equipped to put in the energy and the work to manifest that $1 million. So every day you're trying to figure out, what do I got to do today to get me closer to $1 million? So if you fall short and you land at even 150, 200,000, 300,000, you didn't reach that million in a year, but you got that much closer, and then you know what's going to happen? You might actually believe you can hit $1 million next year because you got results that you didn't even, you thought it was impossible, and you now convince yourself that it's possible. So I want you to 10x whatever your goal is. If you want a house, well, if it's money, right? If it's, let's say you want a house that's 3,500 square feet, then I want you to try to get a house that's 7,000 square feet. Just see what you have to approve for. See what the work and the, because if you can get approved for a $700,000 home, of course you can get approved for a $350,000 home, right? It just secures that you are actually putting in the work to get exactly what you want. So you're reading it every day. Eventually what's going to happen is, as you're reading it and writing it, hopefully, but if you're reading it every day out loud, you're saying it out loud. And let me also add this before I move on. I said say it every day, but I really want you to say it twice a day. I want you to say it in the morning. I want you to say it in the evening, at least. Now, you could recite your goal as often as you want. In fact, the more you say it, the better, because once again, as it gets into that repetition mode, you're programming your subconscious. You actually start to believe it. And when your subconscious believes it, it starts to see things that you couldn't see before. It opens up your vision, and we're going to talk about vision casting in a whole nother video. So say it in the morning, say it in the evening, write it down, make sure that it's specific, make sure that it's measurable, right? Then after that, I want you to allow your imagination to run wild. This is where we get into the meditation. I already said say it as if you're getting it today. Well, one of the ways to kind of reinforce that is to meditate on actually receiving it in that moment. Now, I know that sounds crazy, or for some of you, you might think it's a waste of time. I'm going to tell you something. If you haven't been hitting your goals, don't assume anything I'm saying is a waste of time. Do exactly what I'm telling you to do, and then watch how your life changes, okay? When you meditate on actually receiving it, so now you're sitting there quietly, meditative posture. I can teach you my meditative posture in another video. If you're interested in that, put it in the comments. But whatever your meditative posture is, and I want you to really envision it happening, whatever it is. Getting on a stage, getting the keys to that car, to that house, finding the love of your life, seeing that money in your bank account, seeing that all your debt is wiped away. Whatever it is, I don't even care, bro. Like, it could be seeing you in the body that you envision. That's why you're going to the gym. Really imagine it, embrace it on a mental level. Receive it mentally first. Okay, I don't want to go too deep, but there is not one thing that you can receive physically that you have not received mentally. You have to receive it mentally. You have to actually envision yourself having it. You have to dream it, if you will. You know, like when you're daydreaming about whatever is good, because I know some of you, you're very good at meditating on what you don't want. You can repeat that over and over again in your head. But the moment it's time to like focus on the things that you do want, it seems to be real difficult. Look, I'm not a prophet, but maybe I am. I'm going to tell you something about yourself. Some of you, not all of you. But somebody right now, when I say think about all the things, like think about actually receiving what your goal is. And I want your goal to be one specific thing. I'm not saying that you cannot desire multiple things. I mean, you're a free human being. Desire all the things that you want. But for the sake of goal setting, think of the one thing. Think of the why. Envision receiving it. There's going to be some of you that the moment I tell you to envision receiving it, you're going to think about all the ways that it can go wrong. You're going to think about all the reasons as to why you can't have it. And that's normal in the beginning. I want you to override all of those thoughts. I want you to tell yourself, that may be true, but what if I actually get it? What would that feel like? What would that mean for my life if I actually get it? I want you to just spend, I said meditate 2 minutes, right? 5 minutes. I'm not asking you to go 30 minutes, but if you can, 30 minutes of just living in that space mentally. And I want you to do that until it seems real. If you've never gotten to that space where it seems real to you, then I want you to keep doing that until it's like you can smell it. You know what I mean? Like I have a mentee who's really good at this, visualization. And he could put himself like on a beach and he could smell the water. He can feel the sand at his feet. And he called me like, bro, I think I'm getting it. Like, I'm there. And I'm like, that's exactly the point that you want to get to. So this isn't something that I haven't taught or tested for myself. I'm telling you, you do this every day, you will eventually actually get into that space mentally. So we want to do goals. This is how you set your goal. But there's more to the story, and we'll move forward on that in our next video. My name is Lawrence Souffrant. If you enjoyed this, please like and subscribe so that you can be notified of future content. Peace.